325,097 people projected to be laid off that have jobs in administration or with the school system and the K through 12. 9,900 pink slips issued last week by LA Unified School District. Sesame Street laid off 20% of its staff. $2.6 trillion consumer debt. 1 out of 5 homeowners owe more than what their home is worth. 10% of homeowners are not confident that they'll be able to pay their mortgage next month. 18% of Americans under the age of 65 living without health care. $5,729 the average individual credit card debt. 2.9 million homes foreclosed in 2008. 137,933 homes foreclosed in California in January and February alone. Jobs, the economy, housing, health care, all in a decline. No wonder then Joel said, it was an 8th prophet, it was a minor prophet in the 8th century. What the chewing locust has left, the swarming locust has eaten. What the swarming locust has left, the crawling locust has eaten. What the crawling locust has left, the consuming locust has eaten. If it isn't one thing, it's another. Joel, an educated, well-read leader of the 8th century, was a minor prophet, and he would receive a God-given message for Judah based on the current events of his day. Joel looked at the land and said there's spiritual apathy. Joel looked at the land and he saw financial brokenness. Joel looked at the land and he saw natural catastrophes. And in fact, in Joel chapter 1, verses 7, 10, 11, and 12, declares there was a drought in the land. The vine laid in waste. The vine had dried up. There was no life in the land. Have you seen people that because of what's going on in our nation, they're just coming to a state of saying that it's not even worth going on? I was driving in my car last week listening to KJLH. And that's, for those of you that always listen to gospel, that's a non-gospel station. But listening to it, and a brother called in and said, I'm just ready to end my life right now. Ready just to take my life. And they were pleading with him, saying, sir, if you can just get to the radio station, we'll get you some help. And he said, I've lost my job. I'm behind in my child support. I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I don't have my mortgage, and I just want to end my life right now. They were pleading and said, don't do it. I know it looked like it's hopeless, but hope and help is on the way. The vine laid waste, is just dried up. No life. People done forgot how to smile. People don't even have a kind word of encouragement and hope to their fellow neighbor anymore. Just dried up. Joel said the field is wasted, the grain is ruined, the fig tree is ruined and it's withered away. Hopes and dreams and aspirations are just withering away. People saying that I've had this dream, but it don't look like it's going to come to pass. I've had this vision, but it don't look like it's going to come to fruition. And so everybody just wants to end everything and be done with everything because they say it seems like this dream and hope is never going to come to fruition. The land is mourning. The harvest of the field is perishing. Jobs are diminishing. The pomegranate tree, the palm tree, the apple tree, all the trees of the field have just withered away. Joel says, surely joy has even withered away from the sons of men. People are now just existing, no longer living. People just trying to get by. People just trying to make it from day to day. People just trying to make it from paycheck to paycheck. No longer existing, just living, just barely getting by, just breathing. Occupying space, but producing nothing. Closing the door on their dreams and hopes and aspirations and visions. The joy is diminished on the inside because of what's happening on the outside. Did you catch that? People that once had joy on the inside, that joy is diminishing now because of the current events that are happening on the outside. But God sent me by this morning to remind somebody that I don't care what's going on the outside. You can't let that diminish your joy on the inside. I'm looking for somebody that says, if I lose my car, I still got my praise. If I got to downgrade from a Volvo to a Yugo, I'm still going to give God some praise. If I got to trade in my BMW for a VW, I'm still going to give God some praise. If I got to move from a house to an apartment, I'm still going to give God some praise. Because I ain't going to let nothing on the outside mess with my joy on the inside. Because this joy that I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. I'm still going to have me some praise. If I got to downgrade from a ham to spam, I'm still going to have me a praise. I'm going to have me a praise at all time. I'm going to bless the name of the Lord at all time, and his praise shall continually be in my mouth. Because I'm not going to let the external creep on the inside where it get my joy. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't care what you're going through. Don't let it steal your joy. Find one more person and say, neighbor, I don't care what you're struggling through. Don't let it steal your joy. Hold on to your joy. Hold on to your praise. Hold on to your spirit of worship. Hold on just a little while longer. Joel said the joy was diminished. In 1:16 it said food was cut off before their eyes. 1:17 said the storehouses and the businesses, AIG and Countrywide and Ford, they were in shambles. The barns and the agricultural system of the land was just broken down. 1:18 says the herds of cattle were restless because they had no pasture. Ecological malfunctioning. Chapter 1 verse 20 said the water brooks had dried up and water had to be rationed. The county sent out memos saying that if you water your grass from a certain time, you're going to get a fine because the water brooks are drying up and you can't use water now like you used it in the past. Water brooks drying up. It was a time of darkness and gloominess. And rather than the church impacting the world was having an impact on the church. What kind of craziness is that? What kind of madness is that? Things going on in the world, and rather us being a light to this world, we're losing our praise, we're losing our sense of worship, even in the church. Rather than us making a change in the world is coming in and changing the church. Joel 1:9, Joel declared and said the grain offering and the drink offering have been cut off from the house of the Lord. Even the priests and the preachers are mourning. That might not mean nothing to you until you understand what Joel meant when he said the grain offerings had ceased in the church. Leviticus chapter 6:14-23, it unpacks the elements of a grain offering. The grain offering included flour. Flour that had been produced from the finest of quality. It had been finely sifted. It was free from any defects. This flour, it represented the bread of life. It represented the presence of God. But Joel is saying that the world was getting so crazy that the presence of the Lord was no longer found in the sanctuary, was no longer found in the temple, was no longer found in the place of worship, because people were so bogged down by all the problems they were dealing with Monday through Saturday, that when they came to church on Sunday, they couldn't even open their mouths to give God some praise. They couldn't even see themselves coming through. The presence of the Lord was no longer being ushered into the house.